My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Bridge to Terabithia. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I got this movie as a birthday gift from my grandma back in 2007, and when I opened it up, I didn't know what this movie was, so I looked up the trailer online and I got very excited. Like, this movie kind of looked like a Narnia type of movie, so I watched it. Like, that is actually one of the most blatant, misleading trailers I have ever seen in my life, that it's kinda hilarious. So, like, I started it expecting a Narnia movie, and 96 minutes later, I was thinking about what death actually meant for the first time in my life, and yeah, like, this movie is just one I love. It has had a profound impact on me, and I know some people really love the movie My Girl. This movie is like My Girl for a new generation. So let's begin by talking about the cast, and I'll say it, Josh Hutcherson is phenomenal here. Like, he brings so much personality to Jess, and he just feels like a real person, but when he has to deliver on the emotion, he knocks it out of the park. A truly incredible performance. And then we've got Anna Sophia Robb, who I really miss, by the way. Like, there was this movie, So Soulful, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Jumpo, The Way Way Back. Where did she go? She was such a great talent, and I wish she would be in more movies, but she does a great job here. She brings so much personality and energy and sincerity to Leslie, and despite her weirdness, she is just a very likable character, and she really brings her to life so perfectly. We then got Bailey Madison, who I thought was also great. She just felt so believable as this little sister who wants to be friends with her big brother, and you kind of get how she can be annoying at times, but like, she just felt so real, and she really brings this character to life incredibly well. Okay, I'm going to give a really hot take here, but this is my favorite performance of Robert Patrick. I think he is fantastic here. His dad could have been the cliche, strict, asshole dad, and he kinda is, but he brings lots of dimensions to this character, and he really brings home the sincerity that he needed to in the last act, and I thought he was just truly remarkable. Zooey Deschanel, she isn't in this movie too much, but she still does a really good job. Lauren Clinton plays Janice, and I thought she did a good job. She's an asshole, like, she really is, but she does have a bit more to do in the second half, and she does end up being a character you kind of like by the end. Cameron Wakefield plays Scott, one of the bullies in this movie, and he is just such an asshole, and you really hate him, so he does a great job. And Jen Wolf plays one of the teachers who comes across as super strict and mean at the beginning, but she has this one great moment near the end, and she ends up being a memorable part of this movie. And what I love most is this is just a beautiful story about a kid who never felt like he belonged. This movie is about a kid who learns how to lose his imagination and to open up his mind. This is a movie about a kid who learns there might be some more to people that he really doesn't care for, But most importantly, this is a movie about this friendship between these two kids. And I really love how real this movie feels. Like, even at the beginning of this movie, Jess is obsessed with being the fastest kid. And yeah, that's how it was. In elementary school, you will cool based on how fast you could run. I also love how there's a section in this movie where they build a treehouse. Like, that was every kid's dream. There's one small scene in a classroom where this kid asks the teacher, when you say paper, do you mean one side or both sides? And the teacher replies, you can just do the front side. And she's like, I'll do both sides. Like, we all knew somebody like that. But I also like how you can tell there's lots going on with the parents. You know, at the beginning of the movie, the dad wants to buy Jess some new shoes, but then his wife pulls him aside, and then he's just like, sorry, we can't. And then when he gets Jess the one toy, Jess is really appreciative of it, but the dad is annoyed he wasted money on such a cheap toy. Like, you can really see how the parents' struggles affect their characters. And even with Janice, you know, this complete bitch for so much of the movie, but you find out that she's getting abused and she actually becomes a better person by the end of this movie. Like, just so much of this really does feel grounded in reality. And speaking of grounded in reality, I of course have to talk about how cringy this movie is. Complimentary, by the way, because look, when we were kids, we all played pretend. We all did stupid, silly stuff. And yes, it's cringy to watch Jess throw a pine cone and say it's a grenade, and yes, their imagination is so lame here, but it feels real. This is how I was as a kid. This is probably how you were as a kid. So I do like how cringy it is. And, you know, even if it's something we look down on while watching this movie, you know it's something the characters don't. So there is so much about this movie I love. And then we get to the point of this movie where it becomes about loss and grief through a kid's point of view. You know, anytime I rewatch this movie now, I get teary-eyed throughout the entire thing, just knowing that this friendship isn't going to last. And when Jess and Leslie say goodbye one last time, and he's like, I'll see you tomorrow, and he looks back at her, you know, it wasn't even a thought that could be the last time he sees her. And when he comes back home and his sister's just like, we thought you were dead, and he just knows something is going on, and the dad just tells him, your friend Leslie is dead. When I watched this movie for the first time, I just didn't think this was a possibility, that this could happen. It felt like a stab in the heart. It felt like a betrayal of the story, because how could this happen? They were such good friends. This was such a feel-good movie, and then it just rips your heart out at the end. And then, you know, we see how Jess starts becoming a bit more violent. He punches the bully. Kind of rightfully so, to be fair. But he pushes Maribel, and you can just see that he's not dealing with this well. You know, and I love the scene where the teacher opens up to him about losing her husband and how everybody told her to move on, but she didn't want to. And then it cuts to Jess listening to Someday, which I'll talk to about shortly. And life just feels so empty now. And, you know, that scene where he's in the woods and his dad's chasing him and he trips and Jess just finally breaks down. and he starts asking his dad if Leslie's in hell. Like, come on. That is some powerful stuff. You know, for the first time in my life, I started to think about my own mortality. I started thinking about eternity and hell and death and loss and what that actually means. And we really do take people in our life for granted. And yeah, this movie delivers the emotions. Like, to me, this is one of the saddest movies ever. It's like Manchester by the Sea for kids. And I also love how it manages to end on an uplifting note. Well, Jess might become friends with Janice. How Jess is trying to repair his relationship with Maribel. And how he's trying to keep Leslie's spirit alive. And how he invites Maribel to Terabithia. And it's just a very powerful ending. That, yes, there's loss and grief. But it's about keeping the spirit of people we've lost alive long after they've passed. And it's just a beautiful ending. It's a really beautiful movie. It really is. I also do like the music by Aaron Zegman. That bit of music that plays when Jess says goodbye to Leslie the last time. Just anytime I hear that music now, it gets to me. I also love the use of the soundtrack. Someday played at first as a very happy moment, played later on as an empty, just heartbroken moment. I love how it uses Why Can't We Be Friends as Leslie offers Jess some gum. I love how ooh child, things are going to get easier sounds. And I know it's a completely different song, but I love the song Tried by Hayden Panettiere. It's such a great song. I love that treehouse scene it's used in, and I wish it was on Apple Music. Just so good. I also do kind of like the visual effects because they're not great, but they also kind of feel like a kid's imagination. Like, the visuals aren't fully polished, and I mean that in a good way. And it's well shot by Michael Chapman. So all around, this is a very well-directed movie by Gaba Suspu. And yeah, it's just a movie that has truly resonated with me over the years. If I was to have an issue, I would say a teacher taking a student out on a field trip on the weekend is very questionable. It really is, but I don't know, it just doesn't really bother me. The rest of this movie is just so strong and I love it. You truly come to care for Jess and Leslie as characters. You really care about their friendship and how Jess makes Leslie a better person and how Leslie makes Jess a better person. It is such a beautiful friendship. And there's so much here about imagination and opening up your mind. And then there's also plenty about grief and loss through a kid's point of view, and it's just a very heartbreaking movie that has stayed with me ever since I first watched it. It is such a brilliant misdirection, and it's just a very thoughtful movie. It's sincere. I love it. I think it is a masterpiece, so I'm giving Bridge to Terabithia a 9 out of 10. Disney's 2007 was just incredible. Like Bridge to Terabithia, Pirates of the Caribbean 3, Enchanted, Meet the Robinsons, National Treasure 2. Like, my goodness, Disney used to be so good. And I don't see a reality will they ever make a movie like this again. But, Bridge to Terabithia, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.